Mark Webber has just dropped a bombshell on McLaren that no one saw coming, and it's shaken the Formula One paddock to its core. The Australian, once known for his fiery rivalry with Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull, has now turned his sharp eye and fierce loyalty toward defending Oscar Piastri, his young protege, who suddenly finds himself at the center of a brewing storm inside McLaren. What Webber has revealed, and more importantly what he's doing behind the scenes, paints a picture of tension, frustration, and quiet defiance that could completely shift the balance of power within one of F1's most successful teams. For months, McLaren have prided themselves on their so-called papaya rules, the philosophy that both of their drivers are treated equally, free to race without team orders or bias. But recent races have tested that promise like never before. From questionable strategy calls to controversial on-track moments, the perception among fans and pundits is that Lando Norris has been getting the benefit of the doubt, while Piastri, the championship leader, has been left to fight his battles alone. Webber, who knows all too well what it feels like to be on the wrong side of team politics, isn't letting history repeat itself. This time, he's stepping in early, ensuring that the same quiet injustices that once undermined his own career don't derail Piastri's title charge. What makes this situation so compelling is how eerily familiar it feels. Webber was once in Oscar's shoes, fast, determined, but caught in the crossfire of a team trying to balance internal rivalries and external pressure. At Red Bull, he learned the hard way that talent alone isn't enough when politics come into play. Now, as Piastri's manager and mentor, he's using those lessons to protect his driver from the same traps. Sources close to the situation suggest Webber has been pushing hard for McLaren to remain truly impartial, not by demanding special treatment, but by demanding fairness. And that distinction matters, especially in a season where every decision could decide the championship. Behind McLaren's calm public statements lies an undeniable undercurrent of tension. Zak Brown and Andrea Stella are doing their best to project unity, insisting that both drivers are treated as equals. But Webber's recent comments suggest patience within Piastri's camp is wearing thin. His message is simple but powerful. If McLaren want to build a lasting legacy, they can't afford to undermine the driver currently leading their title charge. Because once trust starts to crack, it's nearly impossible to repair. And Webber has made it clear he won't let his driver be taken advantage of, not on his watch. As the F1 world turns its eyes toward the Austin Grand Prix, Webber's bombshell has raised the stakes even higher. This isn't just about one race, it's about the integrity of a team and the future of a rising star. How McLaren respond to this will define not only their championship hopes, but also their reputation within the sport. So, if you're following this dramatic showdown between fairness, ambition, and loyalty, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay until the end. Because what Mark Webber has just said about McLaren and Piastri's treatment could change everything. Mark Webber's influence inside McLaren has never been louder than it is now. As the paddock arrives in Austin for a high-stakes sprint weekend, the Australian has made his stance crystal clear. He will not allow Oscar Piastri to be treated as anything less than an equal contender. What began as subtle frustration after Singapore has evolved into something much bigger, a full-scale discussion about fairness, loyalty, and how McLaren handle pressure when a world championship is on the line. Webber, a man who has lived through Formula One politics at its most brutal, knows exactly what's at stake. His message, quietly delivered but unmistakably firm, has sent ripples through Woking. Oscar Piastri will not be a supporting act in this title fight. Tension has been building for weeks. McLaren's success this season, clinching the Constructors' title with races to spare, has only amplified scrutiny over how the team manages their two rising stars. In Singapore, Norris's aggressive move on lap 1 and the team's decision not to intervene left Piastri fuming, and fans convinced that equality at McLaren might exist more in theory than in practice. Since then, every radio message, every strategic call has been examined under a microscope. Webber, who saw his own championship ambitions derailed at Red Bull when the team's allegiance leaned towards Sebastian Vettel, sees the parallels clearly. He's made it his mission to ensure Piastri doesn't endure the same fate, not through confrontation, but through quiet, calculated advocacy. What makes Webber's involvement so impactful is his deep understanding of how F1 teams truly operate behind closed doors. The team's consistency is admirable, but their refusal to adapt could prove costly. In a sport where championship-deciding moments come down to fractions, refusing to back the lead driver might look noble, but it could also look naive. As the team prepares for the sprint weekend, every session carries heightened significance. Piastri enters Austin knowing that each point counts double. Sprint results, qualifying performance, and Sunday's race will all shape the championship narrative. Webber has reportedly urged McLaren to approach the weekend with fairness, but also realism. Opportunity is vital, yes, but so is maximizing the title leader's advantage. His logic is sound. If Piastri is ahead in the standings, the strategy must reflect that. It's not about special treatment, it's about championship logic. Formula One history is filled with examples where refusing to make the tough call cost teams the title, and Webber doesn't intend to see McLaren repeat those mistakes. For Piastri himself, support from Webber is invaluable. The young Australian has handled the scrutiny with remarkable composure and consistency, even as external pressure mounts. Yet beneath that calm exterior lies determination, the same quiet steel that defines Webber. The partnership works because they share an understanding of how lonely the top can feel when politics intrude.